So, some of you might remember a little game that was announced towards the ass end of Square Enix's E3 conference back in 2018. Not much else was revealed until this year, where we got a gameplay trailer and news of some upcoming beta tests. The most recent one, which I took part in, took place from Monday, November 15th to Wednesday, November 17th, and is obviously now over. Fear not, because I'm here to tell you about my time in Babylon's Fall. Right off the bat, the art style was a big talking point for a lot of people. For the earlier closed beta tests, the oil painting style that Platinum Games was going for was a bit too muddy and garbled for people's liking, myself included. In response, Platinum hiked up the clarity, improving the visuals quite a bit, successfully showing what is, in effect, an HD remaster of a game that has yet to release. Bravo! Character creation is about what I expected. Your character is what's called a Sentinel, and there are currently 3 choices when it comes to Sentinel race. Hoysians, which are people of the sea, Agavians, people of the mountains, and Galalians, people of the forests. The only discernible difference between them all are their starting weapons, dodge animations, and Gideon Coffin abilities. I think it's safe to say that a Gideon Coffin is probably some unique piece of equipment that allows you to perform unique abilities, but I wouldn't know since we were unable to find or equip one during this test. Character creation is basic, only providing a modest amount of hairstyles along with preset faces. Platinum's catalog doesn't include any games with extensive character customization, so I guess they didn't want to start now. On the bright side, if the faces make you feel unsettled, you'll get a helmet to cover it up real soon. With no tutorial or hand-holding of any kind, I get dropped into the game and left to my own devices, just the way I like it. Reminiscent of Monster Hunter World's main hub, I immediately make my way to what looks like a mission board and start up the first dungeon. While teammates gradually populate my group from console and PC alike, because there will be crossplay, I take a minute to jog around the immediate area to see what other NPCs there are. That minute was only about 15 seconds long because immediately after, my group got tossed into the dungeon. I'm no stranger to group-based PvE games. As soon as I've got control, I get to stepping, looking for something or someone to stab with one of my many swords. I skirt around the ominous danger needles, grab anything that looks like treasure, and arrive at the first battle. Major fights during dungeons are called chapters, so I'll just refer to them as such from here on. Anyway, I make like Goblin Slayer and get to work. Reminiscent of the show, these goblins are also not to be trifled with. Combat is smooth for the most part, but enemies tend to have super armor, meaning they don't flinch too often. Dodging with perfect timing allows you to counterattack and either stagger them or knock them down for a bit, leaving them open for you and your crew to stomp the shit out of them. Abusing this is basically an express path to victory in any fight. Chapter 2's batch of enemies were some undead warriors who really knew their way around a sword, because my health was in a sorry state by the time that battle was over. After that, we found some more goblins lurking around the halls and decided to dispatch them as well. It was during this fight that I discovered we can perform launch attacks that open enemies up to aerial attacks, but I'm still unable to reliably pull those off. After finding a neat little stash of treasure tucked away off to the side, Chapter 3 presented us with Molotov-wielding suicide bombers. It was during this conflict that I, after 9 minutes of getting my ass beat, realized we have potions, and here I was ready to go down swinging. One treasure chest and some minor platforming later, we hit Chapter 4, which was a delightful mix of the undead warriors and goblins. Nothing notable really happened. Finally, we hit what I am sure anyone would recognize as a boss room. I mean, look at it. I look to my crew for a non-verbal confirmation that they are ready for what's about to happen, and we enter. The boss's design is about as creative as you expected. 4 undead warriors, but with armor, and a 5th one who is noticeably larger and tougher. He must be in charge. Lucky for me, enemy aggro fell squarely on the rest of my team, and I was free to attack as I saw fit, until I landed 1 hit and 2 of the adds aggroed to me. Not to worry, they were exceedingly easy to knock down and beat up. The boss included, actually. We quickly dealt with all opposition, and the quest was complete. Now we get into loot. Yes, Babylon's Fall is a looter slasher. The typical tiers seem to be present, with gray being common, the lowest tier, and golden possibly being the highest. Equipment can be sorted right here in the mission end screen. You can mark pieces to be sold or mark pieces as favorites so you don't accidentally sell them. If you choose to claim more loot than your inventory can accommodate, they get sent to your inbox. If your inbox is full, items are automatically deleted starting with the oldest one. It's a similar system to what Anthem had. Remember Anthem? Now, let me explain the equipment. Armor and accessories are straightforward enough, but the weapon system I like. Side note, this closed beta test was controller only and I was using an Xbox controller, so bear with me. You can equip 4 weapons in total, 1 to X, 1 to Y, 1 to left trigger, and 1 to right trigger. X is for light attacks, Y is for heavy attacks, left trigger and right trigger are for spectral attacks, meaning the weapon is a ghostly form which can be used while you're already attacking with lights or heavies. Spectral attacks rely on Spirit, the red gauge below your health, and Spirit can be regained over time or at an increased rate due to what armor or weapons you have on. We had swords, great hammers, staves, bows, and shields available to us. Any of those can be equipped in any slot, and weapons have different actions depending on their Gideon Arms ability shown on the tooltip. A good example being, some staves cast an AoE field that debuffs enemies, and others cast an energy ball attack. Finding a weapon configuration that works for you is the key to success. One thing I hope they add to the full release is a decent transmog system, because weapons and armor having gear scores and rarities means your equipment slots will just be a revolving door for different armors and whatnot, ensuring you always look like you dove headfirst into the clearance bin at Goodwill. Anyway, back to the game itself. There were 6 dungeons available in this closed beta test, and my goal was to make it to the last one. I got a group together to enter the first dungeon again in an effort to find some more loot and be extra ready for the second dungeon later on. Upon doing this, poor connectivity claimed its first victims as 2 of our group disconnected before we got in, leaving me and what looked like a new player to complete this dungeon ourselves. That being said, we really didn't have too much trouble making it through. Now that my armor combination looks worse than it did before, it's time for the second dungeon. There is no text chat to talk to anyone in this game, and no local voice, and emotes are disabled when you open a group. So if you want anyone to help you in a dungeon, you just had to hope somebody joins, or hit the official Babylon's Fall Discord, which was also not helpful. I entered the second dungeon with one other person who looked to be at a similar level, so it looked like we were both about to feel the struggle. Something I had equipped must have had lifesteal on it or something, because my HP stayed topped up for just about the whole dungeon. The boss was a goblin warlord who looked tough enough to hopefully prove a challenge. I dealt with the ads while my partner got chased around by the boss, and then I closed in to start the beatdown. One thing I hate about this game is that, at this stage at least, there's no way to recover from being knocked down. You just have to sit there, sad, while your character slowly gets back on their feet. When it happens multiple times in a row, since enemies will sometimes get lost in the shuffle and manage to land a good hit in on you, it sucks. A lot. After a bit, the boss became enraged, and I don't know if it was lag or the boss AI fucking up, but he kept popping around the map stun locked. All the while, the 2 of us beat his ass with no mercy whatsoever, putting this quest to bed. At this point, things got harder. This was day 2 of the closed beta test, and I noticed the amount of people playing, at least on the North American server, was drastically lower than it was the day before. Later in the evening, through a combination of emote spam and sheer luck, I managed to find 2 people for the third dungeon. This dungeon actually had new enemies and a very different atmosphere, tossing us into a ruin that's in the midst of a rainstorm, and after chapter 1, a torrent of falling debris starts pelting the map. Debris which you have to work around while also dealing with the enemies. It really upped the stakes of the mission, which was kind of exciting. After cutting through a few dozen bandits and some undead archers, we reached the boss of the dungeon, a particularly husky undead warrior with a great hammer and a full contingent of undead archers. I activate big brain time and deal with the archers while my other 2 teammates tackle everything else. I then discover the archers respawn a few times, so I decide to ignore them and 1v1 the boss. He's kind of slow, allowing me to bait his attacks and strafe to his blind spots. Eventually, the archers stop spawning, and my teammates turn my duel into a 3v1. We did that boss like the Robins did Jerry. With that, the quest was complete. After updating my equipment, I immediately started up a group for the 4th dungeon. So far, I've managed to have a power level higher than what was recommended by each dungeon. Now I don't. So I expected this to hurt. It really hurt since I only found 1 teammate to enter with. While we're on the subject, matchmaking in this is trash. I don't know if it's only for the closed beta, but you can only join games hosted by other players in your current HQ or lobby. If you have the HQ code of someone else, you can join their HQ directly and play with them. If you start a dungeon, your current group is listed off to the left and only gives you about 2 minutes to get more people. Otherwise, the game automatically makes you ready up and throws you into the dungeon. As an added bonus, you've got about 2 seconds to cancel before the countdown starts, otherwise you have to go into the dungeon and then leave. Good thing you keep all your loot no matter when you decide to leave a dungeon. Anyway, the 4th dungeon was just a rehash of the first one. Same enemies, same exact map layout, only harder. I was out of potions by chapter 3, so from there on I played extra carefully. The boss was challenging to be sure, but to deal with it, I think both of us had the same idea. I worked on any ads that were aggro to me and trusted my partner to stay alive in the meantime. From the horde that was chasing him around the arena, I would pick off the ads one by one. Eventually, only the boss was left, and then we gave him the business. The game saw fit to reward me properly because I got my first purple weapon. Hopefully my boy got some good loot as well. Once I got back to HQ, I rearranged my equipment loadout and went to ready up another group, but both my HQ and the official Discord were ghost towns, so I went to bed. I got up the next morning, hoping to get the last 2 dungeons done, and the CBT was over. I may not have met my goal, but I got a good feel for the game. The pros are definitely the combat and the rate at which you gain better loot. The cons, for me, is the fact that matchmaking is abysmal, and that between the mismatched armor you have to wear and the graphics looking how they do, you walk around looking like dog shit 99% of the time. I'm sure that, like Destiny, you'll reach a point where your power level plateaus, and you'll only get a new piece to equip once every few dungeon runs if you're lucky. Hopefully you'll be wearing a full matching set of armor. Platinum Games made it clear this will be a live service game, which, good on them for being so confident. Who knows, it is still in closed beta and Platinum Games listened to the graphics complaints, so they may fix a bunch of other problems based on feedback. Honestly, seeing that this game will only launch on PC and PlayStation was a shock, since this title really feels more like a Nintendo Switch exclusive. You'll know what I mean if and when you play it. That about does it for Babylon's Fall. For me, personally, if this game goes free to play, I'd probably try to get into it. If they want to charge me full retail price and try to sell me a battle pass, no fucking thank you. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you're awesome and you want to subscribe, you should do that. And also hit that bell icon to get notified of new uploads. This has been Cygnus Jason, and I'll catch you all on the game side.